The stars had always called to humanity. For thousands of years, people looked up at the night sky and dreamed of what might be out there. In the year 2347, those dreams finally became real. Humanity built ships that could travel faster than light, and they reached out into the darkness between stars. Admiral James Cole stood on the bridge of the USS Endeavour, the finest ship Earth had ever built. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had spent his whole life preparing for this moment. First contact with alien life, the greatest moment in human history. "Sir, we are receiving a signal," said Lieutenant Emma, the communications officer. Her hands were shaking with excitement. "It is coming from the planet ahead. They know we are here." James took a deep breath. He had practiced his speech 100 times. He wanted to tell these aliens that humans came in peace. He wanted to offer friendship and trade. He wanted to show them that Earth was ready to join the galactic community. The flickered to life, and James saw his first alien face. The creature was tall and thin, with blue skin and large black eyes. It wore golden robes and spoke in a voice that the ship's computer translated into English. "I am High Commander of the Empire. I speak for the Galactic Council. You are the species called humans, yes?" James nodded and smiled. "Yes, we are. I am Admiral James Cole, representative of the United Earth Government. We come in peace and friendship. We hope to learn from you and share what we know." Did not smile. His black eyes stared at James without any warmth. "We know what you are, human. We have watched your planet for many years. We have seen your wars. We have seen your violence. We have seen how fast you breed and spread." James felt a cold feeling in his stomach. Something was wrong. Every species has conflict in its past. We have learned from our mistakes. We are ready to be peaceful members of the galactic community. "No," said, the word was flat and final. "The Council has voted. Humanity is too dangerous. You grow too fast. You fight too well. In 1,000 years you would challenge our power. In 2,000 you would rule the galaxy. We cannot allow this." James stepped forward, his heart pounding. "What are you saying? We have done nothing to threaten you." "Not yet," replied. "But you will. It is in your nature. The Council has decided. Your species will be neutralized. This conversation is over." The screen went dark. For a moment, no one on the bridge could speak. Then the alarms started screaming. "Sir," Lieutenant shouted, "ships, hundreds of ships coming out of fold space. They are everywhere." James looked at the tactical display and felt his blood turn to ice. The alien armada surrounded his small fleet completely. There was no escape. "All ships prepare to fight," James ordered, but he knew it was hopeless. The Endeavour had 12 ships. The aliens had over 500. The battle lasted only minutes. The alien weapons tore through human shields like paper. Ship after ship exploded in bright flashes of light. James watched his people die, and he could do nothing to stop it. "Sir, they are not just attacking us," Lieutenant said. Her voice was barely a whisper. "They are attacking Earth." On the James saw images being transmitted from home. Massive alien ships hung over every major city on Earth. New York, London, Tokyo, Beijing, Sydney, Moscow, and Seoul, where his old friend David Park was stationed with his wife. The bombs fell like rain. 7 billion people lived on Earth that morning. By sunset, almost all of them were dead. James watched his burn, and something inside him broke. The kind man with gentle eyes died in that moment. Something harder and colder took his place. The Endeavour was damaged but not destroyed. James did not know why the aliens let him live. Perhaps they wanted a witness. Perhaps they simply did not care about one small ship. "Set course for Mars colony," James said. His voice was steady but his hands were shaking. "We need to find the survivors." On Mars, Dr. Park stood in the observation dome and watched the feeds from Earth. She was a brilliant scientist, one of the people in the solar system. She had spent her life building weapons to protect humanity. Now she watched those weapons fail completely. Her communicator beeped. It was a message from her husband, Captain David Park, who was stationed at the Seoul Defense Base. His voice said, the recording was full of static and explosions. "They came too fast. We cannot stop them. I love you. I have always loved you. Please survive. Please make them pay for what they have done. I love." The message ended in a burst of fire. Fell to her knees. She screamed until her throat was raw. She cried until no more tears would come. Around her, other survivors did the same. The dome was full of the sounds of grief. But was not just sad. She was angry. A burning rage filled her heart, hotter than any sun. These aliens had taken everything from her: her husband, her home, her world. They had killed billions of innocent people because they were afraid of what humanity might become. They were right to be afraid, thought, because I will spend every moment of the rest of my life making them regret this day. The Council declared victory. They sent messages across the galaxy saying that the human threat had been eliminated. Only a few 100 million humans survived on Mars, the Moon, and a few space stations. The Council believed these survivors would slowly die out, alone and broken in the cold darkness of space. They did not understand humans at all. In the weeks after the attack, the survivors gathered. They came from every nation and every background: scientists and soldiers, farmers and engineers, children who had lost their parents and parents who had lost their children. They were all that remained of the human race. Admiral James Cole stood before them in the great hall of Mars Colony. His uniform was torn and dirty. His face was tired and sad, but his eyes burned with a fire that would never go out. "They think we are finished," he said. "They think we will give up and die. They do not know us. They do not know what we are capable of. We are humans. We have survived ice ages and plagues. We have survived wars and disasters. We will survive this." He paused and looked at the crowd. Every face watched him with fierce attention. "But survival is not enough," James continued. "They murdered our world. They killed our families. They tried to wipe us from existence simply because we might one day be a threat. They were right to fear us, because now we are not just a threat. Now we are a promise of revenge." The crowd roared. The sound echoed through the dome like thunder. "We will rebuild," James said. "We will grow strong. We will learn their technology and make it better. And when the time is right, we will make them pay for every single life they took. This I swear on the ashes of Earth." Park stood in the crowd, her fists clenched at her sides. She thought of David. She thought of the billions who died screaming. And she made her own silent promise. The galaxy had made a terrible mistake. They had hurt humanity but not killed it. They had given humans a reason to hate. And there was nothing in the universe more dangerous than a human with a reason to hate. The stars above Mars seemed cold and distant, but looked at them with new eyes. Those stars belonged to the aliens who had destroyed her world. One day she would take them all. One day she would make the galaxy burn. 50 years passed in silence. The Galactic Council forgot about humanity. To them, the attack on Earth was just a small note in their long history. They had neutralized a potential threat before it could grow dangerous. The few survivors on Mars and other colonies would surely die out within a generation or two. There was nothing more to worry about. They sent surveillance drones to watch the human colonies every few years. The drones reported what the Council expected to see: small groups of sad, broken people barely surviving in harsh conditions, farms struggling to grow enough food, old ships falling apart, no weapons, no military, no hope. The Council was satisfied. Humanity was dying exactly as planned. But the Council made a mistake. They did not look beneath the surface. Deep under the red soil of Mars, humans were building something incredible. Miles of tunnels connected massive underground factories. Thousands of scientists worked day and night. Soldiers trained in secret bases carved from rock. And at the center of it all stood General Michael Torres and Dr. Park. Michael Torres was an old soldier who had escaped Earth's destruction by pure luck. He had been testing a new ship near Jupiter when the attack came. He flew back to Mars and found chaos. People were frightened and lost. They needed a leader. Michael gave them one. "We have two choices," he told the survivors in those early days. "We can give up and die slowly, or we can fight. I choose to fight. Who will join me?" Everyone joined him. Michael organized the survivors with military precision. Every person had a job. Every resource was carefully managed. Nothing was wasted. The farmers grew food in underground caves. The engineers built machines. The teachers educated the children. And the scientists, led by Dr. Park, worked on the most important project of all. "We need to understand their technology," said at the first meeting of Project Prometheus. "We need to learn how their ships work, how their weapons work, how their shields work. And then we need to make something better." It seemed impossible. The aliens had thousands of years of technological development. Humans had just learned to travel between stars. How could they ever catch up? But had discovered something important. During the battle, one of the alien ships had crashed on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. The ship was damaged but mostly intact, led a secret mission to recover it. When they brought the ship back to Mars and her team began to study it, they worked for months, then years. Slowly, they began to understand how alien technology functioned. Their systems are more advanced than ours, reported to General Tours. But they are also very rigid, very standardized. Every ship uses the same designs that they have used for centuries. They stopped innovating long ago because they thought they had already perfected everything. Michael nodded slowly, and humans smiled for the first time in years. It was not a nice smile. Humans are creative, we adapt, we improve. Give me 20 years and I will give you ships that make theirs look like toys. Michael gave her 50. Dr. Wright joins team as a specialist in biology. He studied the alien bodies they had recovered from the crashed ship. He learned how each species worked, how they thought, how they lived, and he found their weaknesses. They have a very simple immune system, reported. They have never faced disease in their history. Their crops are genetically identical across their entire empire. One targeted virus could destroy their entire food supply. Could you make such a virus? Asked. Looked at her with cold eyes. I already have. Dr. Lisa Morgan worked on shield technology. She found ways to make human shields twice as strong as alien shields while using half the power. Commander Rachel Stone trained the soldiers. She taught them how to fight in zero gravity, how to fight in extreme cold, how to fight against enemies that were bigger and stronger. She taught them to be silent and deadly. The aliens think of war as a game with rules, Rachel told her students. They line up their fleets and shoot at each other from a distance. They announce their attacks and give warnings. They fight fairly. She paused and her eyes grew hard. We will not fight fairly. We will strike from the shadows. We will use tricks and traps. We will show no mercy because they showed us none. When we are done, the galaxy will learn what happens when you wake up a sleeping monster. 20 years after the destruction of Earth, the first new human warship was completed. They called it the Prometheus, named after the Greek god who stole fire from heaven, stood on the bridge and felt tears running down her cheeks. It is beautiful, she whispered. General Tours stood beside her. He was old now, his hair completely white, but his spirit was stronger than ever. How does it compare to their ships? Check the readouts. Our weapons are 30% more powerful. Our shields are 50% stronger. Our engines are twice as fast. And we have something they do not have at all. What? Fold space mines. We can place explosive devices in the dimension that ships use for faster-than-light travel. When an enemy ship tries to jump, the mine destroys it before it arrives. They will never even know what killed them. Michael laughed. It was a harsh sound full of dark joy. My God, you really did it. Not yet, said. This is just the first ship. We need thousands. We need pilots and crews. We need weapons and supplies. We are not ready yet. When will we be ready? Looked at him with steady eyes. Soon. Years continued to pass. The underground factories built more ships. The training camps produced more soldiers. Children who were born after the destruction of Earth grew up knowing only one purpose: revenge. Admiral James Cole visited the secret shipyards on his 80th birthday. He was old and tired, his body weak from decades of stress. But when he saw the fleet that humanity had built, his eyes filled with light. 3,000 warships floated in the underground caverns. Each one was a masterpiece of human engineering, sleek and deadly, armed with weapons the galaxy had never seen. We are ready, said. She was old now too, her hair gray and her face lined with wrinkles. But her mind was as sharp as ever, and her hatred was just as strong. James looked at the fleet for a long time. He thought of Earth burning. He thought of the billions who died. He thought of the smug alien face that had condemned humanity to extinction. The first, he said finally. They led the attack. They will be the first to pay. Nodded. Their festival of eternal peace is in 3 months. Their entire fleet will be home for the celebration. They will have no defense against an attack during the festival because they believe no one would ever attack them during such a sacred time. James smiled. It was a terrible smile full of patient hate. Then that is when we strike. The surveillance drones still visited Mars. They still reported a dying colony of broken humans. The Council still believed that humanity was almost extinct. They did not know that the broken colony was just a show, just an act to fool their machines. They did not know about the underground cities full of millions of humans. They did not know about the secret fleet waiting in the darkness. They did not know that death was coming for them. 50 years after the destruction of Earth, humanity was ready. Ready to remind the galaxy why they should never have let the humans live. Ready to teach them a lesson written in fire and blood. Ready for revenge. The planet was the heart of the Empire. It was a beautiful world of purple oceans and silver cities. 20 billion lived there in comfort and peace. They had not known war for 2,000 years. They believed they never would again. The Festival of Eternal Peace was the most important holiday in culture. Every ship in their fleet returned home for the celebration. Families gathered together. Leaders gave speeches about the wisdom of the council. Children played in the streets while their parents watched and smiled. High Commander stood on the balcony of his palace and looked out at his world. He was very old now, his blue skin faded to pale gray, but he was still powerful. He was still proud of what he had done 50 years ago. He had saved the galaxy from the human threat. Sometimes he thought about those strange creatures from Earth, so small and weak but so dangerous. He remembered the look in their admiral's eyes when he learned his world was about to die. Fear, then anger, then something else. Something did not understand. He shook his head and pushed the memory away. Humans were gone now, just a sad footnote in galactic history, nothing to worry about. Far above, invisible in the darkness between stars, 300 human warships waited. Admiral James Cole sat in the command chair of the USS Retribution, the flagship of the human fleet. He was 80 years old. His hands trembled sometimes and his heart was weak, but his mind was clear and his hatred was as strong as ever. "Status report," he said quietly. Commander Rachel Stone checked her displays. All ships in position, weapons charged, fold space mines deployed around the planet. Their fleet cannot escape. Dr. Park stood beside the Admiral. She had insisted on being here for this moment. She wanted to see the look on their faces when they realized what was happening. "The planet's defenses?" James asked. "Minimal," Rachel replied. "They have a few orbital stations and some ground-based weapons. Nothing that can stop us. They truly believe no one would ever attack them." James nodded slowly. He thought about Earth. He thought about the cities burning and the people screaming. He thought about his friends who died in seconds. He thought about all the children who never got to grow up. "For Earth," he said, his voice was steady and cold. "For everyone we lost, begin the attack." The human fleet dropped out of hiding and appeared directly above. 300 warships, each one bristling with weapons that they had never seen. The surprise was complete and total. On the planet below, the Festival of Eternal Peace became the Festival of Eternal Terror. Was giving a speech when the first reports came in. His aide rushed to his side, her face pale with shock. "Commander, ships, hundreds of ships in orbit, they came from nowhere." Stared at her. "That is impossible. Who would dare attack us during the festival, which empire has declared war?" The aide's voice was barely a whisper. "The ships, they have Earth markings. They are human ships." Felt his blood turn to ice. Humans? Impossible. They were extinct. They were supposed to be extinct. "Get me a channel to their flagship," he ordered. "Now." A moment later, Admiral James Cole's face appeared on the. He looked old and tired, but his eyes burned with a fire that made step back in fear. "You said? You were on that ship 50 years ago. You should be dead." "I should be," James agreed. "But I am not. I have been waiting for this day for 50 years. Every day I thought about what I would say to you. I practiced so many speeches, but now that the moment is here, I realize I only need to say 3 words. He leaned forward, and his voice dropped to a whisper that somehow filled the entire room. "We are back." The went dark. The fleet tried to fight. They had 600 ships, twice as many as the humans. They were confident that their superior numbers would win the battle. The battle lasted 17 minutes. Human weapons cut through shields like they were made of paper. Human ships moved faster than sensors could track. Human tactics were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Instead of lining up in neat formations, the human ships attacked from every direction at once. They disappeared and reappeared. They used the planet's own moons as cover. When they tried to retreat into fold space, mines destroyed them before they could escape. Ship after ship vanished in bright explosions. Commander watched his entire fleet die. He watched the ships he had once led to victory over Earth burn and break apart. He watched everything he had built crumble to dust. "This cannot be happening," he whispered. "This cannot be real." But it was real. It was very, very real. The space battle ended, but the human revenge was just beginning. Transports descended from orbit, carrying thousands of soldiers to the planet's surface. Commander Rachel Stone led them personally. "We are not here to kill civilians," she told her troops. "We are here to destroy their ability to ever threaten us again. Power stations, military bases, food production facilities, communication networks, everything that keeps this society running." The humans moved through like ghosts. They struck targets with perfect precision. Power went out across entire continents. Factories exploded. Farms burned. The great silver cities went dark and silent. Dr. Wright released his virus into the planet's agricultural systems. Within days, every crop on would be dead. The 20 billion would not starve immediately, but they would soon. They would suffer. They would know what it felt like to watch your world die slowly. "We could just bomb them," one young soldier said to Rachel Stone. "Kill them all and be done with it." Rachel shook her head. "That would be mercy. We do not give mercy. They will live. They will watch their civilization collapse. They will know hunger and cold and fear. They will remember this day forever. That is worse than death." High Commander was captured trying to escape on a private shuttle. Human soldiers dragged him before Admiral Cole, who had come down to the surface to witness the final victory. Fell to his knees. "Please," he begged, "please show mercy. We made a mistake. We should not have attacked Earth. Please spare my people." James looked down at him with empty eyes. "Did you show mercy to Earth? Did you listen when our Admiral begged for peace? Did you spare our children?" "That was different. We were protecting the galaxy from a threat." "Yes," James said quietly. "You were right about that. Humans are a threat. You made us into one. We would have been peaceful neighbors. We would have shared our art and our science. We would have been your friends, but you chose to make us your enemies instead." He gestured to the guards. "Put him in stasis. Keep him conscious but unable to move. Let him watch as his empire falls. Let him live for a very, very long time." As was dragged away, Park joined James on the balcony of the palace. They looked out at the burning cities and the darkened sky. "It is beautiful," said softly, "in a terrible way." James nodded. "This is only the beginning. There are 11 more species in the Council, 11 more empires that voted to destroy Earth." "How long will it take?" "As long as necessary. We have waited 50 years. We can wait 50 more if we have to." The news have spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every species in the Council watched the recordings in horror. Humans. The humans were back, and they were not coming in peace. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. They argued and shouted and blamed each other. Some wanted to unite against humanity. Others wanted to surrender immediately. A few suggested negotiation. But it was too late for any of that. The humans had sent a message along with the recordings. It was short and simple. "We remember every name. We remember every life, and we are coming for all of you." The galaxy had awakened a monster. Now they would learn what happens when a monster wants revenge. Fear spread through the Galactic Council like a disease. Every species that had voted to destroy Earth now looked at the sky and wondered when the humans would come for them. The Confederacy was the first to break. They were a peaceful species, more interested in art and music than war. They had only voted for Earth's destruction because the stronger empires had pressured them. Now they were terrified. Their ambassador arrived at Mars colony under a white flag of surrender. He was a small creature with soft purple fur and large, sad eyes. He bowed so low that his head touched the ground. "Please," he said to Admiral James Cole, "we beg for mercy. We will give you anything, territory, resources, technology, whatever you want. Just please do not do to our world what you did to." James looked at the trembling alien for a long moment. Part of him wanted to show no mercy at all, but another part of him remembered that they had been reluctant members of the Council. They had not led the attack on Earth. "We will spare your people," James said finally, "on one condition." "Anything, name it." "Every military commander who participated in the attack on Earth will be handed over to us for trial. Every single one." The ambassador's face went pale, but they were following orders. They did not choose to attack your world. "Neither did our children," James replied coldly. "They did not choose to die either. Those are our terms. Accept them or face the consequences." They accepted. Within a week, 200 military commanders were delivered to human custody. They were put on trial before a human court. The trials were short. The verdicts were always the same. Guilty. The executions were broadcast across the galaxy. James wanted everyone to see. He wanted them to understand that there was no escape, no place to hide. Those who had destroyed Earth would pay the price. The Dominion took a different approach. They were a warrior species, proud and fierce. They had been the ones who provided the ground troops for the attack on Earth. They refused to surrender. Humans are just animals, their High King declared. We crushed them once. We will crush them again. Let them come. We are not afraid. They gathered their allies and formed a united front against humanity. 5 species joined together, combining their fleets and armies. They built a massive war council on their fortress moon of 30 admirals and generals, the greatest military minds in the galaxy, gathered to plan humanity's final destruction. They never got the chance. Captain Daniel Reed was known among humans as the Ghost. He was a small, quiet man who did not look dangerous at all, but he was the deadliest soldier humanity had ever produced. He could move through enemy territory without being seen. He could kill without making a sound. Daniel studied the fortress moon for weeks. He found every weakness, every gap in security. He planned the perfect attack. "We do not need a fleet," he told Admiral Cole. "Give me 50 soldiers and captured teleportation technology. I will end this war council in one night." James agreed. On the night of the Great War Council, Daniel and his team teleported directly into the heart of the fortress. They appeared in the ventilation system, which they had never thought to guard. For 3 hours, they moved through the shadows, placing antimatter charges in perfect positions. At midnight, the charges detonated. The explosion was visible from the planet below. The entire fortress moon broke apart into burning fragments. 30 admirals and generals died in an instant. The united front against humanity collapsed before it could even begin. The High King received news of the attack during his evening meal. His food turned to ash in his mouth. His hands began to shake. "How?" he whispered. "How did they get inside? How did they know where to strike?" His advisors had no answer. They only knew that the Ghost had come and gone, leaving nothing but death behind. They surrendered 3 days later. One by one, the council species fell. Some fought and lost. Some surrendered without fighting. Some tried to flee to the far edges of the galaxy, but humans found them anyway. The collective was the oldest species in the council. They had lived for millions of years. Their ambassador was a being called the Elder, a creature so ancient that it remembered when the first stars formed. The Elder requested a meeting with Dr. Park, not Admiral Cole, not the military commanders. Park, the scientist who had turned human rage into weapons of war. They met on a neutral station, surrounded by guards from both sides. The Elder moved slowly, its crystalline body glowing with soft light. It looked at with eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. "I remember your species," the Elder said. "We observed you for many thousands of years. You were interesting, creative, full of potential. We wanted to welcome you into the galactic community." His face was hard as stone. "Then why did you vote to destroy us?" "Fear," the Elder admitted. "Pure fear. You grew so fast. You learned so quickly. In just 10,000 years, you went from caves to starships. Other species took millions of years to achieve what you achieved in mere moments. We looked at your trajectory and we saw only one possible outcome." "And what was that?" "That you would eventually rule the galaxy. That nothing could stop you. We were afraid of being replaced, of becoming extinct ourselves. So we voted for your extinction instead." Laughed, it was a bitter, hollow sound. "You were afraid of what we might become, so you created exactly what you feared. Congratulations." The Elder was silent for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice was filled with something that might have been sadness. "Why?" it asked. "Why continue this? You have won. The council is broken. The species that attacked you are destroyed or conquered. You could rebuild now. You could move forward. Why this endless destruction?" Thought about David, her husband who died defending Sol. She thought about the billions of innocent people who had been murdered simply for existing. She thought about the children who never got to grow up. "You taught us what we truly are," she said finally. "You burned our world and expected us to die quietly. Instead, you created monsters, and monsters do not forgive." Her words were broadcast across the galaxy. Every species heard them. Every world understood. The humans were not seeking peace. They were seeking justice, and they would not stop until they had it. Only one major power remained defiant: the hegemony. They were the most advanced species in the galaxy, the ones who had created the weapons that destroyed Earth. They believed their technology could protect them. Their home system was a fortress, an artificial sun that could be used as a weapon, defense platforms that could destroy entire fleets, ships so advanced that no enemy had ever breached their space. The High Council sent a message to humanity: "Come if you dare. We will show you the true meaning of power." Admiral James Cole received the message with a smile. It was not a nice smile. "They think their technology will save them," he said to. "They do not understand. We have been studying their systems for 50 years. We know every weakness. We know exactly how to break them." Nodded. "The final battle." "The final battle," James agreed. "And when it is over, the galaxy will never forget what happens when you try to exterminate humanity." The human fleet began gathering for the last assault. 3,000 ships, the largest force humanity had ever assembled. In their holds, they carried weapons that could shake the stars themselves. They watched them coming. For the first time in their history, they felt fear. They should have felt it 50 years ago. The home system was the most heavily defended place in the galaxy. An artificial sun burned at its center, a weapon that could vaporize entire fleets with a single blast. Thousands of defense platforms floated in perfect formation. Millions of soldiers waited on the planets below. They had spent millions of years building this fortress. They believed it could never be conquered. They believed they were safe. Admiral James Cole looked at the tactical display and smiled. The defenses were impressive, but humans had spent 50 years learning every secret of technology. They knew where the weak points were. They knew exactly how to break them. "All ships in position," Commander Rachel Stone reported. "Awaiting your orders, Admiral." James stood up from his chair. He was 83 years old now. His body was weak and tired. He knew he would not live much longer, but he intended to see this through to the end. "Begin the final assault," he said. The human fleet surged forward, 3,000 warships moving as one. The defenses opened fire, filling space with deadly energy. Ships exploded. Humans died, but the fleet kept coming. Dr. Park had designed the strategy herself. Small strike teams targeted the control systems for the artificial sun. They moved through the chaos of battle, invisible and deadly. One by one, they disabled the weapon platforms that protected the sun's controls. Captain Daniel Reed led the most important team. His mission was to reach the central control station and shut down the artificial sun permanently. If he failed, they could use it to destroy the entire human fleet. "We are in position," Daniel reported. His voice was calm despite the explosions all around him. "Proceed," James ordered. Daniel and his team cut through the station's defenses like ghosts. The guards never saw them coming. Within minutes, they reached the control room. "Control secured," Daniel said. "The sun is ours." With their ultimate weapon disabled, the defenses began to crumble. Human ships poured through the gaps, destroying everything in their path. The defense platforms fell one by one. The mighty fleet that had protected them for millions of years was reduced to burning wreckage. Within hours, the battle was over. The human fleet surrounded the 3 billion looked up at the sky and saw death waiting for them. Admiral Cole called his commanders together for a final meeting. Park was there, Rachel Stone, Daniel Reed, Wright, Lisa Morgan, and a younger woman named Sarah Torres, the daughter of General Michael Torres, who had died 5 years ago. "We have won," James said simply. "They are defeated. Their empire is broken. Every species that attacked Earth has been conquered or destroyed. The question now is, what do we do with them?" Dr. Wright spoke first. "We should destroy them completely. They created the weapons that killed Earth. They are the most dangerous of all our enemies. We cannot allow them to survive." Park nodded slowly. "I spent 50 years preparing for this moment. I dreamed of watching their world burn. Part of me still wants that." "Total destruction would send a clear message," Commander Stone agreed. "No one would ever dare threaten humanity again." The room was silent. Everyone waited for Admiral Cole to speak. But it was Sarah Torres who spoke first. "And then what?" she asked quietly. "After we destroy them, then what? Do we become exactly what they feared we would be?" The others turned to look at her. Sarah was young, only 30 years old. She had been born after the destruction of Earth. She had never seen her, but she had grown up hearing stories about it. My father fought for revenge his whole life, Sarah continued. He died believing that destroying our enemies was the only way to honor the dead. But I have been thinking about this for a long time. Is that really what the dead would want? What do you mean? Asked. Sarah took a deep breath. Billions of people died on Earth. They were teachers and artists and parents and children. They loved and dreamed and hoped for the future. Would they want us to become killers? Would they want us to build our new civilization on a foundation of genocide? They would want justice, said firmly. Yes, Sarah agreed. Justice, not extermination. There is a difference. She looked around the room at the tired, angry faces. We can destroy their military and dismantle their government. We can punish the leaders who ordered Earth's destruction. But we do not have to murder 3 billion innocent people to do it. They are not innocent, Rachel said. They supported their government. They cheered when Earth burned. Some of them did. Many of them did not. And even if they all cheered, does that mean they deserve death? Does that mean their children deserve death? The room fell silent again. James Cole looked at Sarah with strange light in his eyes. You remind me of someone, he said softly. You remind me of who I was before Earth burned. I had kind eyes once. I believed in peace and cooperation. The attack took that from me. It turned me into something hard and cold. He paused and looked out the window at the world below. For 50 years I have thought about nothing but revenge. It kept me alive. It gave me purpose. But now that the moment is here, I find myself wondering, is revenge really what I want? Or is it just a habit, a cage I built for myself? Touched his arm gently. James. No, he said. Sarah is right. If we exterminate, though, we become exactly what they feared. We become the monsters of the galaxy. Every species will look at us and see only killers. Is that the legacy we want? Is that what we want our children to inherit? He turned to face his commanders. His old eyes were wet with tears. I have spent 50 years hatting. I am tired of it. I want to choose something different. I want to choose who we will be rather than letting our enemies define us. One by one, the others nodded. Even Wright, who had wanted total destruction, lowered his eyes in acceptance. Very well, James said. We will conquer, but we will not exterminate. We will punish the guilty, but we will spare the innocent. We will show the galaxy that humans can choose when to stop. The human fleet surrounded the system but did not attack the planet. Instead, they broadcast a message. 50 years ago, you tried to exterminate us. You failed. Today, we could exterminate you. We choose not to, not because you deserve mercy, you do not, but because we refuse to become what you believed us to be. Your government is dissolved. Your military leaders will face trial. Your weapons technology will be seized, but your people will live. Remember this day. Remember what we could have done. And remember what we chose instead. They surrendered without further resistance. Their leaders were arrested and put on trial. Those who had ordered Earth's destruction were executed. Those who had simply followed orders were imprisoned. The empire was broken into smaller pieces, never to threaten anyone again. But the people lived. Admiral James Cole died 3 months later peacefully in his sleep. His last words were to Park, who sat beside his bed. We did something human, he whispered. We chose when to stop. That is more than they ever gave us. Held his hand until the end. Then she cried for the first time in 50 years. She cried for James. She cried for David. She cried for Earth and everyone who had died. And somehow, mixed with all the grief, there was also relief. The weight she had carried for so long was finally lifted. By 2410, the Galactic Council was reformed with humanity at its head. The species that had once tried to exterminate them now looked to humans for guidance. It was strange and ironic, but somehow fitting. Earth remained empty and no one could live there anymore. But humans built a memorial on the surface, a monument visible from space. It listed the name of every single person who had died in the attack. Billions of names, carved in stone that would last for millions of years. Sarah Torres became the first human president of the Galactic Council. She stood before the assembled species and spoke words that would be remembered forever. We came to you in peace and you answered with war. We asked for friendship and you gave us death. You underestimated us. You thought we would break. Instead, you forged us into something stronger than you could imagine. She paused and looked around at the alien faces watching her. But we are not just warriors, we are also builders and dreamers. We create as well as destroy, we love as well as hate. We could have exterminated every species that attacked us. We chose mercy instead, not weakness. Mercy. There is a difference. From this day forward, let there be a new law in this galaxy. No species will ever again be attacked simply for existing. No world will ever again be destroyed out of fear. If any species threatens another, humanity will respond. And you have seen what happens when humans respond. The galaxy learned its lesson well. For generations afterward, peace reigned throughout the stars. Wars became rare, then almost unknown. Species that had fought for learned to cooperate instead. And on every world, in every language, they told the same story. The story of a species that was nearly destroyed. A species that rose from the ashes and conquered its enemies. A species that could have become monsters but chose to be something better. The story of humanity. The story of Earth's brutal revenge, and the mercy that followed it. Somewhere in the stars, David Park would have been proud. Like to think so, anyway. She lived to be 112 years old, and she spent her final years not building weapons but planting gardens on the restored colonies of humanity's new homes. The galaxy had changed her, hatred had changed her, but in the end, love had changed her back. And that, perhaps, was the most human thing of all.